Well, every other Mass Effect and BioWare content creator has made their The Expanse Osiris Reborn video, so it's my turn. Seems fitting as I'm seemingly the smallest one. So it's good for me to come in late. Maybe I can get some scraps. I want to talk about this game, and I will probably end up talking more about how I think it relates to the future Mass Effect game and Exodus as well. I think there's a kind of interesting trifecta happening here with some ups and downs. So let's jump right into it. So, what we know about The Expanse, Osiris Reborn, is it's a game being made by Owlcat. They've made some other kind of strategy type games more so, like the Warhammer Rogue Trader game, which I tried out and am just way too much of a casual to be into a game like that. But it's loved so much that it makes me kind of more excited for what they're doing here. At the end of the day, what The Expanse, Osiris Reborn seems to be is a action adventure open space, or at least mission and hub style game that is going to most relate likely to what a modern day Mass Effect would seem like. If you remember back to the trilogy and even Andromeda to a point, you would have your ship and you would have various hubs around the universe. And then from there, you would discover side missions and main missions and progress things and get collectibles and go to traders and things like that, right? And then you would use your ship to go around and, for the most part, go to mission locations and do relatively linear missions, finish those missions, progress the story, progress the side missions, whatever. You know, you would have, and this is what it seems to be with The Expanse, is, you know, the ability to make choices during missions, the ability to treat people certain ways, to make allies, to make enemies, to pick lines of dialogue that will get one result or another, and over the course of the whole game, it will affect your ending in some capacity. That, when you describe all of those things, really sounds like it could be Mass Effect or The Expanse. I think that's really cool. Now, most of the stuff I've been seeing lately has been like, our best chance at another Mass Effect is this game and blah blah blah. I think that's a little pessimistic. I think that people have maybe taken the wrong lessons from Dragon Age the Veilguard. I will still argue to this day that the Veilguard is a solid game, and that I think especially the third act may be BioWare's best. And while there's lots of things to not like about Veilguard, depending on who you are, I guess, I actually think there's a lot more to take from that game that makes me excited for what they're going to do in the future, especially hopefully with a game, the next Mass Effect game, that won't have all of the drama and the struggles that Dragon Age the Veilguard had. Now, going back to The Expanse, I think what is really exciting for me is that at the very least, this will be an inspiration to the Mass Effect team, because I hope it is. And that's because it's got the right aesthetic. It's got that almost, maybe people will hate this comparison, but kind of like Starfield, where Starfield has a very realistic aesthetic. Like the ships look like they could be real. The space stations look like they could be real. Like nothing really seems all that crazy. Even the weird creatures you come upon out in the open space are creatures that, are a bit silly at times, but seem like they could be real. The Expanse has an even more grounded aesthetic. It has, these three main factions. You've got people who have, grown out the Belters that they call them, and the people from Mars, and so on and so forth. So they all have kind of different aesthetics. I believe it's the ones who grew up out in space are taller and kind of look a little different than normal humans because, they don't have gravity holding them down, but they're also frail. All that world building is really cool. And what they're going to do well with is, they have the whole series. They have multiple books. Like there's a lot of lore to play off of. So hopefully, as they're telling the story that we're going to be playing through in Osiris Reborn, there's going to be, a little education, a little bit of world building done in the game. But there's also going to be a lot of opportunities for them to cite things fairly passively that have happened that fans of the series will know about. And that maybe a new person to the franchise wouldn't. It's not going to ruin their experience, but it's going to make the people smile who are really into that series. There's things like that I'm really excited about. We also found out recently that they're going to be having people from the series voicing their own roles in the game, and their actual characters will be in the game. I believe this game is taking place somewhere between the first and second season of the actual series. So that's cool, and it's exciting because it means that they're going to be able to do a lot of references and things for fans, which I think is a good thing. The kind of wild card in this whole situation still to me is Exodus. I've noticed that, it seems like a lot of the other people kind of in this, general circle of BioWare and Mass Effect content creators were really excited about Exodus, and some of them still seem to be. But it almost, at least I haven't seen anyone throwing out like, hey, like what's going on with that game? Because especially now we have this situation where this Osiris Reborn comes out from a more established studio. And so maybe that's part of it. But we already know so much more about this Expanse game than we possibly could about Exodus, despite that it was announced years ago at this point. They kind of put out info about it, but we haven't hardly seen anything of the actual game. It's mostly just been Q&As of the developers being like, yeah, we hope we can do this, which always gives me some bad vibes of like, oh man, you guys are still super early in this process. Like maybe shouldn't have announced it yet early. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But like, it's just strange that, you could argue we even know more about the next Mass Effect than we do Exodus. That's a little, more, I guess, subjective. But I think objectively we know more about this Owlcat, Expanse game than we do either of those, even though we just found out about it a couple months ago. And that's really exciting. That's really cool for them, because you can definitely tell that there is a hunger, a desire for this type of game, something that looks realistic, something that you can impact, something that you can get into from a established IP. It really, for me, I hope, my hopium side of this is that EA is seeing the excitement for that, and that will encourage them to maybe not tinker with Mass Effect too much, and or to let it, actually come out. So, yeah, this Expanse game, it looks super cool. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to hear more of it. For me, as someone who's a big third person kind of action adventure, especially shooter fan with the Division and other games, this really tickles me, because like the combat, everything looks like the actual game's gonna be fun to play. Where you could argue that there's other games in this realm, maybe even the trilogy to a point, where the combat and the action of the game is fine and you kind of tolerate it for the rest of the game. This may not be the case with the Expanse. It looks like it's legitimately going to be a fun game to play, and I'm excited to see more about it. And it looks like we're going to get it in less than a year. So that's interesting. I am curious if we're ever going to hear anything from Exodus. I think the last thing from them was I think photoshopped cave with these creatures that they wrote a blog about, and it looked really, really bad. And hopefully it was just like concept art or something they just kind of threw together. And then Mass Effect, we should have in 7 Day here in a few months. I honestly expected more news about that game before now, but we'll probably wait until then, and hopefully we get something. So hey, if you're in this genre, and even whether you're excited about these or not, you should be feasting right now. There's a lot of stuff coming, and I think there's going to be a lot to talk about here in the next couple years, for better or worse. If you want more coverage of the Expanse Osiris Reborn, Mass Effect 5, Exodus, or just gaming news and speculation in general, consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the like button so more people see the video. Consider becoming a YouTube member if you want videos like this one just a hair early. Check out the description of the video for more ways to support and for all of the other content I am making. That is all I have for this one. So until next time.